if we move on to living roofs, are there any views on living roofs and the appropriateness or otherwise, and on whether or not we should be requiring them on new extensions and any circumstances where we really consider they're not appropriate? I guess we could extend that to living walls as well.
Well, I think all I would say is I think if you're going to require them, that becomes very prescriptive. I certainly think policies which encourage would be good. But then, of course, they potentially do have an additional cost. And I think, frankly, that should go into, again, some of the issues we were discussing earlier in the evening in terms of what defines an exemplar building and, to a certain extent, what inducements or encouragements you're going to give to developers to push them down that particular route.
Following on the point made about living walls as opposed to living roofs, the dilemma, I think, would be the issue of maintenance. Roofs often are not viewable from other buildings, and therefore, if the living roof was poorly maintained, then there wouldn't be a detriment to the general area. But with living walls, that's a completely different matter. And so, therefore, we need to be far more careful on that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add on to that roof terraces? Because there seems to be a policy not to allow roof terraces on modern buildings, new big buildings and offices. I've seen having small roof terraces refused on grounds of problems for the amenity of the neighbours. But in a dense city, a green roof could be a roof terrace or a roof garden. I know that recently we had a look at the one on top of Berkeley Court, which is a fantastic roof garden, which doesn't cause problems to neighbours, and it is a green roof, and they're growing vegetables up there as well. I mean, it's a really great garden, but it seems that when a new development comes up, the roof terrace is instantly dismissed for all sorts of reasons, or you put your air conditioners up there.
The lady that just spoke just actually stole the words out of my mouth. I was actually going to say the same thing. I think all developers should consider what we do on roofs in a very dense city. They make a wonderful living space. They're green, sustainable, the rest of it. And then people might kind of sit on them and not need their air conditioning units on. So I think they're a very good idea and should be encouraged.
Okay.
I would only add the proviso so long as it doesn't intrude on your neighbour's privacy. Because some flat roofs are just underneath your neighbour's windows. I mean, you could watch them dressing in the morning from it. So I think you need to put a proviso that the neighbour's privacy also has to be taken into consideration.
Thank you.
I would like to see all developments encouraging the provision of green roofs where reasonably practicable. The green roofs are not, as I see it, not so much for sitting on, but for encouraging natural life and having natural life in our city. This is bees and flies and moths and butterflies that are all very important for sustainability. So any developer ought to want to encourage that kind of sustainability.
Thank you. I think as well in this particular issue, I mean, there's quite a big difference between green roofs and living roofs. And they're not necessarily, although they overlap, and whether or not anyone's got any views between the function of why you have a green roof, whether or not the balance should be in favour of a leisure area for those in the area, or whether or not it should be in favour of, say, ecological demand, which would mean you would put in quite a different type of roof, perhaps, that has more biodiversity. Does anyone want to comment on that issue? No?
I just wanted to say that I think on Piccadilly, somebody actually... I think I'm right in saying that someone on Piccadilly actually has a beehive or beehives on the roof.
Lancaster Gate Hotel today.
Okay.
Just a final point on the use of roof space. In New York, it's well known that a number of sporting facilities are made available on the roof space area, and I think that's something that should be considered. People are getting much more conscious now of taking exercise, and maybe the air is a little clearer higher up or rarefied or whatever. But anyway, I mean, you know, the use of a tennis court or something, and in New York specifically, I mean, they use them for jogging areas. And that might save some of the road space that's so much in demand.